at it again with another tutorial. In this one, we're going to be breaking down a Blxst type beat. If you don't know who Blxst is, he's an artist slash producer from LA. His music is really going up right now. I've been listening to him for a while, and I really like his music. I make a lot of his style of stuff. So if you haven't listened to him before, I highly recommend him. Go check out his music and then come back to this and let me know what you think. If you guys like the video, drop a like, drop a sub, drop a comment. It's really appreciated and it helps the channel grow. So if you want to see some more tutorials like this one, you know what to do. And let's get into it. I'm going to play a little bit of the beat real quick and then we'll break it down. Cool. So with Blxst music, he uses a lot of guitars and kind of live instrument sounds like pianos and guitars and sometimes samples as well. If you look into the credits on his music, he actually brings in a lot of live instrumentalists and stuff. So he has people playing guitar specifically for that track. Obviously, I don't have the ability to do that since I don't know how to play guitar. So I had to use a sample, but I just started with this one. It's off Splice. I stretched it, to the tempo and then pitched it down a little bit. And then there's also this Rhodes sample that layers with it, and that one just comes in. Comes in and out on different parts. So that just kind of fit the R&B kind of emotional sort of vibe of it that I was going for. So I didn't really have to do too much to it. I normally, when I use samples, I like to kind of change them up and stuff like that. But this one, it just fit good. So all I really did was pitch it down and then, make the drums and stuff around it. Also layered this vocal sample. This just comes in really on the hook and then in the intro right here. But this is from Arcade. And then the next thing was the bass line. It's a real low bass. It's like a sub bass. I started with this one from Diva. And so if you don't have headphones on, it might be kind of hard to hear. So I wanted to have more of that real low sub bass, so I layered it with a 3X oscillator. And this is literally just the default settings for it. All I really did was I changed some of the pitch on these ones. I think when it started, this one was all the way down. And then I also added a LFO with the volume. So this basically just really slightly makes the volume turn up and down. So it's not just straight, that one sound the whole way. But you can hear the difference when it's layered. So that's without it, that's with it. And I also turned on the slide on here, the mono. At the end of the pattern, there's a little thing where it slides. So I thought that sounded cool. So it's simple bass line, but it fits with the vibe of it. And then after that, we just got into the drums. So if you listen to a lot of his beats, the drums really are going to be pretty minimal. He'll only have a few sounds. It's usually a kick, clap, hi-hat, and then, the bass, and then a few perk sounds. So it's kind of the vibe I wanted to go with too. I started with this, just a little stomp sound. This is actually a sample from Love Lockdown by Kanye. If you know that song, you'd recognize the sound. And then we got the claps in here. I layered up the clap with a few different sounds just to keep it sounding a little more interesting than just having like the same, the same one playing the whole time. So there's two layered, and then I layered like this sound. It's like an ambient clap or whatever with like reverb on it. And that's kind of like the whole basic like rhythm of it. Then you got the kick here. The kick is also side chaining the bass. I'll show you how I did that in a little bit. And then the hi-hat. The hi-hats, you want to keep them pretty simple. I'll usually do like the triplet rolls in these types of beats. So I'll put it on like 6th or 3rd step right here, and then do like the little rolls in there. And the hi-hats, really, like, you want to try and keep them simple in this type of beat. Like, it kind of just fills in like the rhythm of it or whatever. You don't want to have like a million rolls going on and stuff. That's going to just kill the whole vibe. But yeah, after that, I mean, it's just like a couple little extra perk sounds. We got the crash here, and then an open hat. And then I added like this little laser sound thing too. This only plays at the end of the patterns on like some of them. Just these little sounds. So these types of beats, like I was saying, you really don't want to add too much. You want to leave it kind of open for the artist, because they're gonna create like the melody over the beat, if that makes sense. Yeah, that's kind of the basic, like outline of the beat and all the sounds. The thing in this beat that kind of makes it progress is just, taking in and out some of the main instruments and some of the main drum sounds. Like if you look through it, the drums are pretty steady, but in a few sections, like in the pre-chorus right here, like kind of where it's building up, I took out like a few of the sounds in the beginning here. I notice in a lot of his beats in this section, he takes out this clap right here. So like the third one in every beat. And I don't know if there's like some type of name for like that kind of rhythm or something, but if you listen to his music, he does that in a lot of the like the intros and like before the beat drops and stuff like that. And it just gives it like I don't know, like a different type of bounce. You can hear it. And so it just, I don't know, it helps it build up. I've been doing that in a lot of my beats recently, and I think it sounds cool. And then it goes into the verse right here, and then basically just like kind of repeats. Bang. And so if you guys watch my last tutorial, this is something I talk about a lot. And if you listen to Blxst music, I know he makes beats on FL Studio, and I think this is kind of similar to like what he does with his drums and stuff. But just chopping up like your patterns, like down here, just kind of chopping up the patterns and adding little change ups can do a lot for the beat. So like this part right here where the drums come in for like the verse, I made like a little part where the guitar and all the drums kind of cut out. So that's just like an easy way to like sauce up the drums without having to like change up all the patterns and go all crazy. Like going into all these and deleting the actual notes and stuff like that. You can just cut it and then, like drag it to wherever you want. And that's an easy way just to like add like some kind of like progression with the drums or like change ups and stuff like that. But yeah, it's a fairly basic layout too. Like the beat is actually pretty simple. Like it's just kind of the instruments and the way that things come in and out that kind of make it sound like a little more like complex. I would have liked if this guitar sample like had another part that went into that I could use for the hook. Because if you listen to a lot of his music, like it actually kind of progresses like through the actual song and stuff like that. But that's sort of the difference between using like a loop, like this, and having like an actual guitar player who can, you know, add to the track and stuff like that. So it kind of is what it is with that, but it still came out sounding pretty good. I like how it sounds. So anyways, I'll talk a little bit about the mixing. Like I show in most of my videos, like it's really nothing too intense with the mixing. Like it's really all in the levels, making sure that the volumes are all good, and then a little bit of panning so you can leave room for like the bass and the kick and that kind of stuff. Probably the craziest thing I did on this beat was like sidechaining the 808. So I'll kind of talk about that real quick. I have a good technique for you guys if anyone wants to try this out. If you don't know what sidechaining is, basically you can hear it right here. When the kick comes in, you'll hear how the bass starts to turn down. I'll show like the waveform for it too. So see right here, when there's no kick, how the bass is steady. And then watch this waveform when the kick comes in. It's gonna turn the volume down. So this isn't really something I do all the time with like my beats, and I pretty much never do it with 808s. But with this pattern, like the synth bass kind of going long, and it's just kind of like a long steady pattern with this. Adding the side chaining just lets the kick like fit in better. And so the way I like to do this effect in FL is actually with the Fruity Peak controller. This thing right here, this plugin is actually super useful. So basically, this is what is telling it to turn down the volume on the kick. So the first thing you want to do is just open the Fruity Peak controller on your mixer on the track that you want to have like doing the effect, and then you just basically can link this controller to any knob or parameter that you want in FL Studio. So what I like to do is use the Fruity Panomatic controller, this one right here, and I just use the volume knob. So this is literally just like a volume knob. It just turns it up and down. And the way you link it is by right clicking. You're going to go link to controller, and once you add in the peak controller, it's going to give you the option on here. So you click this little drop down and you link it to the peak right here. Don't do peak and LFO, don't do LFO, just click the peak one. And then you're going to come over to this little mapping formula thing, click this little arrow and click inverted. And then you're going to hit accept, and you'll see on here when I play it, when the kick hits, the volume is going to go down like this. And so super easy to set up. It takes just a second. There's other ways you can sidechain in FL Studio and stuff too. I really like doing it this way though when you're doing like a kick and a bass, because the peak controller, this thing will let you control. It's annoying to get them open at the same time. This thing will let you change like the settings of it. So if you turn down the decay, it's going to turn up the volume like way slower. Watch how this works. And then if I turn it up, it's really fast, right? And so you just want to find like a, somewhere in the middle for it. That's just like a quick little mixing tip or whatever. Like I said, I don't do that like all the time, but with this thing, it made sense to do it. So, but yeah, other than that, with the mixing, I mean, it's just your basic like EQs. I did some EQs on the guitar. It's like take out the low end, like a high pass on this one, or low pass, I mean. And then, yeah, just like basic stuff. I like to use this little EQ down here. I don't know, some people hate on it, but I like to use this thing. And then other than that, it's really just like the volumes. I say that in like every beat, but mixing these types of beats really isn't that hard to get it to at least sound decent if you have good drum sounds. Another thing I did too was I turned up the kick a lot. Like I noticed a lot of his music, like the mix are really good in his some of his songs. and the kicks will just be like so loud, and the only way I could get it that loud was by literally just like clipping it. So I turned the kick like all the way up. It's actually clipping a little bit, so I just added a Fruity Soft Clipper on the master channel. Fruity Soft Clipper is a pretty good plugin. If you don't have any of the extra like fancy plugins that don't come with FL Studio, this is my favorite one for like mastering, you know, beats. Fruity Limiter is just straight trash, so step one is delete Fruity Limiter. Maximus is cool too, but it kind of has too many knobs and stuff for me, so I like to use Fruity Soft Clipper if I'm not using Ozone, but I use Ozone in pretty much all my beats nowadays. But yeah, I put both on this one just because I put the kick so loud, and that was like the only way I could really get it to hit like that hard. But yeah, that's gonna pretty much wrap it up for this track. Like I said in the beginning, if you like the tutorial and you want to see more, drop a like, drop a sub, drop a comment. Let me know what kind you want to see next. And until the next one, peace.